All right, welcome everybody. Trading week over. I'm Tom. You should also see George on your screen. George,
Hey
are you
guys.
there?
I am. I just started reading something that was important.
Oh, okay.
Hey everyone.
Hello.
Hey. My transition isn't done yet, but it's getting better. Sorry.
What are you? Your transition to a what is a alto, soprano?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go to. I don't have the chat on my screen, so I got to take as you guys know.
I got the
slightly
chat.
technologically
It says Tom.
impaired.
Hang on. Tom. Why did you tell us about Iris? I'm really upset with you. I'm really mad. That's what it says.
That's what the chat says? Well.
No, it doesn't say that. Someone's to take. Hang on, let me go. Up first, Sour. What's up?
What's up? Oh, how about for our first request, if you would be so kind as to smash the like button.
I got to hear you talk first a little bit before I decide if I like it or not.
Yeah, hey, listen, you know, that's right. Take your time, think it over. If you like the stream, if you like either myself or what George has to say, or if you're just feeling charitable.
Is a lot of people shocked with this price action of Bitcoin? ?
Well, maybe that should be our first. I'm a little disappointed this week. That is for certain. This was not the best week of all time. So I guess if you're looking for some buying opportunities, they're starting to present themselves, or I guess they're continuing to present themselves. So Bitcoin did not do that much. We'll look at the one-day chart. Bitcoin's been, I'm going to say Bitcoin basically did nothing this week. But when I do the weekend update that I do, the Bitcoin miners have been disproportionately getting banged on versus Bitcoin versus the market. All right. So it was not a great week, but like I said, maybe this is setting us up for some buying opportunities here for those of you who are still bullish. FV702, second request. Everyone can say Fred sucks. Thanks for the super chat, FV702.
I'm so there.
Well, I got a feeling shareholders are saying that because Marathon is now trading at $8.67. So if you have not seen my Marathon deep dive, and I know a lot of you did not see it, so, and thank you to those who did, we'll definitely talk more Marathon today. Like, their stock is, all the Bitcoin miners have been getting beat up, to be fair, over the last couple of weeks. But Marathon, worse so than all of them. They're now an $8.67 stock. And they were down 5.35% today. It was a red day almost across the board. So, you know, they weren't the only ones. But I continue to scratch my head. I went through the math in a deep dive. I don't understand what they've done. Maybe there's a mastermind plan at work here that we're just not privy to, but I don't know what it would be. All right, we got 21 likes. So if you would please help us by hitting the like button. Let me tell you something. We did a thing this week. I really, you know, we study the Bitcoin algorithm. I'm sorry, the YouTube algorithm. And there's a few, you know, there's only 3 or 4 big variables that you can do anything about. But when we did 2 videos where we specifically said, please smash the like button. We're looking for 250 likes, 350 likes. Those 2 videos were the best 2 videos of the month for our channel by a mile. So it is now clear to me that just smashing the like button helps the channel more than anything. So that's my 2 cents. That's, I suppose, anecdotal evidence because it's a sample group of 1, which is our own channel, but there's been an unbelievably direct correlation. So if you feel like it, do us a favor.
Even if you're here for a minute. But anyways, Sour, Summer of Hell. Guess what today is? It's no longer the summer. So do I have to say this is the fall of hell?
Oh, is this the last day of summer?
Yeah, the 21st. Today's the first day of the
I
fall.
missed it. I had a bunch of stuff left to do this summer. I guess it's going to have to wait till next summer. Oh, well.
Well, Tom, good video about how Fred sucks without saying that Fred sucks.
Is that you saying that, or is that someone in the chat?
No, I just said that.
Listen, I try to be as fair as possible in my videos. I present both sides of the story. Management went so far. This is, to me, unprecedented. Perhaps it's been done before, but literally, Marathon put out a press release talking about what they did, and then they put a frequently asked questions section in their press release. That's how much heat they're getting for making the move that they made. And the questions were along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing, like, why would you guys do this? So, and they had their answers, and I went through their answers. And, you know, it's a lot of what, for those of you who were on 2 Fridays ago, we spent almost the whole time talking about Marathon, and we were scratching our heads. And it's a lot of the reasons that we talked about. George, you brought up, you know, maybe it's just a straight up, you know, reduce their risk, take some risk off the table. And that's what, in my opinion, that's what the answer was in all of their frequently asked questions, was we did this to reduce risk. But to me, if you read, well, I'll say my interpretation as I read that.
I have to tell you something, guys, as you're listening, and there's only 73 of you listening, but you got to understand, Fred watches what I say, okay? And when he said, look at, they're going to go out of business. I don't remember, this was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago.
Oh yeah, George called that Marathon would ultimately go
out of business. And by them doing what they did, I think they won't, because now I think they have an opportunity to get more cash.
So see, George is one of the people that does like what they did.
I don't like what they did. I think that everything has to do with management and costs, right? So if you know your costs are just, you can't really get them in control, and you don't own your own freaking facilities, sorry, but it's true. You know, you have to realize that that was not the right strategy. I think the whole premise of how Marathon's been set up is just, I think they're learning now that they really screwed up.
And I think
they got so much freaking money that they just, you know, they were freaking drunk at the helm.
Even in the conversation Fred had with us on the channel, he indicated, I brought up the asset light concept, and I mean, you guys can watch the interview for yourselves. In my opinion, he basically said, you know, we're done with that. That was what we were doing, and that's not what we're going to be doing going forward. We're going to have our own, you know, vertically integrated.
Thanks, Mr. J.
Mr. J.
I was going to call you Dr.
George.
J.
All right.
Did you hear me? Dr. J.
Oh, that gets a George button. Good call.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to, wait, we got 2 George buttons. I think that gets this one. Hey,
you know, you know, and it's funny because we were really, Tom and I were talking earlier today, and, you know, because we got to start making some decisions with the channel. And,
yes,
you know, we know the miners now. We know the Bitcoin miners. We understand exactly, you know, what is the right amount of money it should be for costs of coins, and how to actually, Tom, this is all Tom's credit, he knows how to get into these, what would you call them, financials, and understand what's really going on. And Tom proved my point already for me. And it's just, you know, that's the thing. We just go by what the narrative is of what there's, you know, the part of my expression. I'm going to use a really good company as an example. Tesla. It's a really good example, okay, guys? And that we just go with the narrative of what they're shoveling us, okay? And we think that that's their answer, but that's not the answer. The answer is what we go into these financial statements and uncover. And that's Tom. That's not me. And Tom spends hours and hours and hours a week reading these things. I can't do it, but he's intrigued by this.
I spend for those of you who are new to the channel, you may not know this. A lot of you, I see a lot of familiar names in the chat already know this. I mean, my background's in accounting. I started out in public accounting and auditing financial statements. So I was, heavily involved in financial statements. And, I've been reading financial statements as a hobby, my whole life. Well, not as a, not in high school or whatnot, but my whole adult life, which is I'm getting a little older now, so that's coming up on 35 or 40 years of doing this, and I have dug deep. I mean, I read all of the Bitcoin miners' financial statements from cover to cover, management's discussion. I read all of their press releases. I read their SEC filings. So I mean, I have done. That doesn't mean I can tell the future, so make no mistake. I'm not saying that means I know what's going to happen next. But, if it's not from a lack of research, let's put it that way. And the Bitcoin mining companies, Bitcoin is very new. So the treatment of Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining, as far as it pertains to the financial statements, there's a lot of different companies doing different things on their financial statements, and it's not that any of them are doing it right or wrong, but they're very, very different. So to strip all this apart and get it to apples is a science project. So, most regular people don't really realistically either care to or have the ridiculous amount of time it takes to get there. So, I'm somebody that does that is my thing, and that's what I do. So, and again, that doesn't mean I know what's coming next or I can tell the future. All I can do is, pull apart the financial statements and try and, let you know what my interpretation of what they're actually reporting.
And what I do is I look at things as in common sense. And maybe that doesn't make sense, but remember with Tesla, I'm going back to Tesla, and Tom just blew my mind away with what he just told me. You can bring that up at any time, Tom. Here we go.
I got the article. You want me to pull the article?
Yeah, bring it up.
All right. Minor sidetrack. To support something George has been saying for a long time on the channel. I came across this article today. Nope, not this article.
Nope, not that one.
Different article. Hold on, let me find it.
I was just like, wow, they must watch the stream.
I realize now this article.
What does that headline say?
Tesla stock is falling. China is the reason. So
wow.
George has been pounding the table on the Tesla-China relationship, and that ultimately, it was going to come back potentially to be a problem for Tesla. That's my interpretation of your words. You tell us.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I think that you can't have a situation where the big four accounting firms are not allowed to audit in China. They're just not allowed to do it. They just said, listen, you are kicked out. You can't come in here and you can't audit us. That's when I knew China is in serious trouble, and that's one of the reasons I'm not too concerned about BRICS at this point in time, too.
And they gave they gave their reason. They said, well,
no.
For national security reasons, we can't have them involved in our proprietary blah blah blah. So, that was their line of reasoning. But that's where I come from. And there's plenty of alumni of the big four accounting firms. They employ hundreds of thousands of people, each one of them. So, that's
right. And I would have been better off if they would have just picked one. You know what I mean? But, I think that China is showing how scared they are of people really knowing how much of eggshells China is actually on right now. And I think that is, there's people in the government going missing at high levels. They're missing reports on certain things. And matter of fact, they just did away with giving reports on unemployment numbers. Did you know that one?
I'll say this. I'm skeptical of our own. When I say our own, I know we have people from all over the world. So I'm in the United States. I'm fairly skeptical of the data we get from the U.S. government. Never mind the Chinese government. So I think always when we talk about data, and that even includes CPI data, which, dictates the market, all of these numbers, to a certain extent, you got to take with a grain of salt because, consider the source, I guess is what I would say. But there's an awful lot swirling around about China's economy, the strength of their currency. So, but in specific, Tesla's sales are going down in China. So it says here from June through August, Tesla sold 13,000 EVs a week to Chinese car buyers. In September, sales dropped to 9,000 a week. So that's a significant drop off. And so, this article is talking about how, that's potentially reason for concern. So, they do a lot of manufacturing in China. They sell a lot of cars in China. So there's a relationship there. And they're not the only ones. Most of the top 10 largest companies in the world, do business in every country, in the world, including China. So.
Yeah, but I think with Bitcoin, back to Bitcoin, I think that, the next 2 years are going to be, year and a half, probably 18 months is going to be not what everybody was hoping for.
Well, and definitely the last...
Myself included.
We're now almost 2 years into, November 8th, I think, somewhere early November 2021, Bitcoin hit its all-time high. So we're almost 2 years later at this point. And yeah, nothing is signaling right now some giant breakout. I will say, and we won't do this whole thing on a live stream, but to some extent, this does seem to be following the past couple of, 4-year cycle patterns a little bit more closely than I expected it to. So, where Bitcoin sits, if you were looking at that, is not as shocking. I thought Bitcoin had matured a lot since the previous cycles, and it has. So I expected it to be higher than this. Timing, trying to time the market, this is the greatest example. You can be wrong. You can be wrong by a month. You can be wrong by 6 months. You can be wrong by, if you've watched this, everybody's familiar with the movie, whether you've seen it or not, or the concept, The Big Short. That was Michael Burr, I think is his name. He was shorting the subprime mortgages. That bet took him, he was wrong for years. And, people looked at him and basically thought he was an idiot for years. Ultimately, that was he was 100% correct, and basically everybody else was wrong. Now, having said that, watching him since then, he seems to be a perma bear, and he's always finding something to talk about how the sky is falling. But in that one, he did put his money where his mouth was, and recently he did the same thing. He's very bearish on the market right now, and he's bought a lot of puts, short the market over the next, couple of years. So for whatever that's worth, I don't really necessarily put a lot of stock into whatever he's doing, because like I said, almost everything that he talks about is that bad news is coming. Some people are just bullish on everything all the time. Some people are bearish on everything all the time, and somewhere, you can't be one or the other. You got to watch what's happening. I am long-term bullish on Bitcoin. I've always said that. I haven't changed my mind. But if you watched this channel, there was 8 or 10 months where we just said, unfortunately, look out below because things are bad and they're getting worse. And, that's just what's happening.
That's funny. I agree with what I was just reading. It says, what the hell are we doing on this stream? If Bitcoin's going to go down, for the next 18 months, let's just close the channel and see you in 18 months.
There's lots of ways to make money. And my answer to that would be, number one, basically what I just talked about. We don't know from a timing standpoint. I can't call the bottom.
Right.
And there's a lot of events that are going to occur as Bitcoin matures that, you could take a shot, get out and see if you get, if you get lucky and time the bottom and get back in. I'm not willing to do that.
Tom and I we've disagreed about this for a really long time, and Tom thinks the bottom's in. I don't think the bottom's in.
Sorry, I need to take a 10-second timeout.
Okay, so that's the one thing that Tom and I, been discussing about a lot lately. Tom feels the bottom's in. He has his reasons, but I feel the bottom's not in, and I have my reasons. The reason I feel the bottom's not in is just because you got the big boys really moving into the crypto asset world, and there's still a lot of things that have not shaken out. Binance is one of them, and CZ just yesterday announced a lawsuit where he's filing a lawsuit against the SEC because he says, look, if Binance US held the assets for consumers, prove that we did things not in the best interest of their consumers or their account holders. He goes, you have not produced any evidence saying that we've done something wrong. Now, personally, I think that was a bold move, just because I think there is some things out there already where they're going to go after them criminally. So there's that. Then you still have the whole thing that no one's even talked about anymore, hasn't even gotten any play, and that's Tether. And everybody seems to forget that little $100 million nightmare that's out there. And unfortunately, that's out there. It's 83 billion right now. So that $83 billion nightmare that's out there. And then you got Ethereum. And why did Ethereum get the pass? That obviously Ethereum has gotten, unlike XRP. And so there's a lot of situations right here unfolding in crypto that makes it, for me, not safe.
So
at the present time.
For me, there's a distinction between crypto and Bitcoin. And for everybody I say this very often on the channel, that we still live in a world where there is, just from a dictionary definition, there's Bitcoin and altcoins. So everything that's not Bitcoin is an altcoin. That includes Ethereum. That's not my point of view, right. So don't be mad at me about that. That's the definition of how the crypto universe works. So I do believe Bitcoin is totally different. The rest of the crypto world may have a different experience, but I do think there's more good ahead. All the things George talked about are things that may happen, but in my opinion, for every one of those things, there's massive, massive events coming forward. I want to read just a few comments that were on point, if I can find them. I can't find them in 10 seconds. Okay, Edmund saying, Tom, we're in a Bitcoin summer. This is a meandering year. Bitcoin fall is the bull time. Look out for June 2024 through 2025. That is Bitcoin fall. So, and by the fall, he's talking seasonally, not like fall as in go down, I believe. And that's the 4-year cycle. So, right, I mean, that's what I'm saying. This does seem to look a lot more like the last couple of cycles than I thought it was going to. And so, to Edmund's point, that's what's happened the last couple of times. And if that happens again, then there's good things ahead. The other thing that Seth has jumped in and said, ETF will change everything. And I do think people are drastically underestimating what the Bitcoin ETFs is going to do. And it's not going to be, in my personal opinion, it's not going to be an ETF. I think in a short period of time, whether it's 2 weeks or 3 months, once they start approving, they're going to have to approve these ETFs. And almost all the big money in the world has applied for an ETF, which means almost all the money in the world is suddenly going to have easy access from their broker or from where their money already is to get into. So 99%, and I don't, I would have to do the calculations, but I bet, correct me if I'm wrong and if you've done the numbers, but some massive amount of money is not in Bitcoin yet and doesn't even have access to Bitcoin. So, if you 100x the amount of money that has access to Bitcoin, and if it's 50x, whatever it is, it's some massive, massive fundamental change that's going to occur when, for instance, all the money in BlackRock doesn't have to come out of BlackRock to get a Bitcoin and go do, a series of things. They can just go into the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. And I'm using BlackRock as an example, but whether it's BlackRock or ARK or almost every single other major fund out there has an application in. And the ones that don't will try to catch up. So, you're going to go from extremely difficult access to it's going to be no different than buying a stock. Right? You're going to be able to do it. You're going to be able to do it on your phone, on your app. No matter who you do business, no matter where you have, what broker you have your money at, every person who invests is going to be able to go into their app, even their Robinhood app, and buy a Bitcoin ETF. So it's just a game-changing event that's unlike anything else that's ever happened, and it's imminent at this point. And what does imminent mean? I don't know. We've done polls on this. Consensus on our channel seems to be that sometime between now and the halving, these ETFs are coming. So that's not a guarantee, not financial advice as always.
Well, this is kind of interesting that you say that, because he just dropped a little caveat, because it looks like the government is going to shut down for a period of time. And the first thing he said, well, EFTs or ETFs are going to be delayed because of the government shuts down. It's going to just delay them. So I thought that was interesting.
Government shutdown here in the U.S. is the boogeyman.
Yeah.
So that is a fair point, and they did definitely talk about that. So yes, that is timely. They talked about that today, but to me, this is the exact kind of background noise FUD that they try to put out there to scare people out of Bitcoin, out of the Bitcoin miners. And so it's every individual. Somebody earlier said, then why don't we all just get out of here and get out of the miners, and what are we all doing here? If you're, that might be some people's perspective, right? Nobody can say if that's right or wrong. That's not my perspective. I think dollar cost averaging is the way to go. I'm bullish long term. Now, I'm not dollar cost averaging. I follow 19 Bitcoin miners. There's 5 or 6 or 7 more past that are publicly traded that are so small I haven't added to the list yet. And I don't think all of those are going to be winners. But the ones, I think there are ones that will win, and I think they're going to win big. So that's my personal opinion. And I continue to watch the more information we get. So I will say this. I put out my top 8 list on January 1st, 2023. So I will do the same thing on January 1st, 2024. And I can guarantee you it will not be the same 8 companies in the same order, because a massive amount of new information has come at us in this period of time. So as investors, that's the one most important thing I think we can all agree on or learn. If this is a new concept to you, you've got to take the information that comes at you. If things change, you have to change accordingly. So, based on a year's worth of activity, I'll have a little bit of a different. It's unlikely to be radically different. There's still my highest conviction play right now is CleanSpark. And so on January 1st, that was number 2. So it's moved from 2 to 1. Is that a massive shift? No. But there's others that have had bigger changes than that, and I don't know that that's where it's going to be on January 1st, 2024. So, I'd love to see your guys' lists as well. What's everybody's number 1 conviction stock? I know we talk about this all the time on the channel. Also, I'm going to ask one more time. Actually, it'll probably be more than one more time, but if everybody could please do us a gigantic favor, if you are willing to, please smash the like button. It helps the stream out massively. So it's much appreciated. And thank you specifically on 2 videos. We did ask everybody to smash the like button. I just want to thank everybody because those were our 2 all-time record likes. And it really helped those videos a lot. And,
is that what helped them, Tom, you think?
I mean, I can never say for an absolute fact, but there was a direct correlation. Those two videos that we did that on got the most likes, and as a function of that, they got the most views, and it was proportional. They got more likes per view, and that seemed to increase the total number of views. So yes, I think that's a huge factor. So anybody willing to, on this and all of the videos that we do, if you enjoy the video, and if you're willing to, it does help us a lot to hit the like button. And it's, of course, it's free to do.
Edmund, I didn't, if you heard Stellar, if I said Stellar, which I could have, I meant Tether. Tether, USDT. It's supposed to be a stable coin. It's supposed to be backed by fiat. And everybody knows it's not. And there's some shenanigans going on. Tom and I, when we first got into really deep into crypto, or Tom likes to say Bitcoin, because he doesn't really get into too much other things besides Bitcoin. But we started really researching the reports that there's, for the audits, and you get to it, and somebody actually wrote a letter and says, trust me, it's there. And he signed his name. I mean, he didn't really write that, but it was something to that effect. Do you remember that, Tom?
What did he say?
He goes, about the money in the Cayman Islands, he wrote, trust me, it's there, basically. And then signed his name. But they wouldn't audit. I mean, so you have to go deep, deep, deep. It was many clicks and many, painstaking hours of research to try to figure out what exactly Tether has. But nobody has ever audited Tether.
So, and that's one of the big things that we've talked about on this channel for a year and a half, at least. The two regulations, and I always, whenever I say the word, I have to say I'm not a regulation guy. That doesn't mean I think there should be no regulations ever anywhere. Some regulations are prudent. We need them, and I do think that within the cryptocurrency universe, we need stablecoin regulations, and the regulations are super simple. This does not have to be 10,000 pages by Congress. We just simply need transparency and an audit.
Two pages.
Right, so that we know that there's what assets they hold, how much, and do they equal, they're called stable coins for a reason. So
Tom, you bring up an interesting point. How can the federal government or have this Fed now, and how can they start to issue basically a cryptocurrency without any regulations on it?
Well, I guess that's one of the benefits of being the government.
No, but I mean, think about it. I mean, you move to a cryptocurrency, and the shenanigans that already go on with, let's say, the PPP loans, and you name it, right? That's already going on. If it goes on with the Fed now, is it actually going to be a criminal offense? These are questions that I would like to know the answer to. I know you don't know because no one does. You know what I mean?
Nobody knows.
Right. But because I really think that, the whole reason, we are going through something right now financially as a country and as a world. And I think that's what's happening is because of these cryptocurrencies. And somebody wrote a very interesting article, a statement in Discord. And I would suggest anybody who's on this stream right now, Discord, these guys are really active, and they have some really good passion and good thoughts of what's going on in the crypto world. I say crypto because I just don't say Bitcoin, but in the crypto world. And these guys really believe, and so do I, that you're looking at a $30 trillion asset in just a period of time. We just have to get there.
Well, and that's a 30x from here.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah.
Roughly speaking. So.
And I think that's very conservative, honestly. I mean, because if a government, like just say the United States, issues Fed now, what's going to happen to the crypto land? And they're already using it. They've already started. They've already, test runs are in play, and that's another reason why I love XRP. But it's just real interesting. So, I mean, I do think that we're going to have a shakeout with companies. And I called, what was it? a year ago, I think I called that almost a third of the companies would file bankruptcy that are traded.
I think it's really going to depend. You know, if Bitcoin, everything is going to depend on where Bitcoin is at the halving and say 6 to 8 months after the halving, because it's all for, if Bitcoin's not doing well, then it's going to be about cash runway. And there's a lot of these smaller Bitcoin miners that, number one, don't have either a very small cash runway or no cash runway. And based on potential prices of Bitcoin, a lot of these companies at the halving could go cash flow negative. Most of the companies right now are cash flow positive, at least from a gross profit standpoint. And that could change at the halving. So, you know, if we're at Bitcoin 28,000 or 30,000, and I'm going to talk about the difficulty level too, because that's another major factor. And the difficulty level has reached a new all-time high with this latest adjustment. It continues to go up at a faster and faster pace. So we've already had, in the last 1 year, we've had the exact same effect as a Bitcoin halving, because the difficulty level has more than doubled in 14 months. So a little over 1 year. So effectively, we just had a halving right before the halving. So now I think the difficulty level is going to get even worse, plus the reward's going to get cut in half. So yes, I do think if Bitcoin is hanging around at plus or minus 30,000, a bunch of these companies are going to go away. Having said that, I've talked on the channel, there's a lot of companies, there's several of these companies, in my opinion, you know, plus or minus 5, that could withstand a significant period of time at that level. And, you know, they may stand to be the winners a year and a half or 2 years from now. You know, if everybody else gets flushed out, they'll survive and get more and more of the money. And to another point that I hear a lot is, well, if a Bitcoin ETF happens, is the money going to come out of the miners and into the Bitcoin ETF? But just so everybody knows, the miners are a leverage play on Bitcoin. So two things to that. Number one, the total market cap of the miners is immaterial. So there's plenty of money to go around, right? It's now less than, I think, $10 billion. All the Bitcoin miners added up, put together. So just Bitcoin alone is $500+ billion. So it's not like you can either be in one or the other. Plus new money is coming in. Plus there's a leveraged correlation. So the higher Bitcoin goes, the higher the good Bitcoin miners will go. So that will be a good thing for the Bitcoin miners if the ETFs come, money goes into the ETFs, and the price of Bitcoin goes up. That's the relationship that's going to happen. That's not a guess. That's the relationship between Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners. So if money goes into the ETF, the more money that goes in, the higher the price of Bitcoin is going to go. The higher the price of Bitcoin, the better off the Bitcoin miners are going to do. The ones that have a good business model that are going to survive, and I say win, you know, that are going to be the ones that profit the most.
Jackie Tucker said, FedNow is just how they transfer money. It's not an investable asset. I mean, yeah, that's how they transfer money, but that's going to be how you purchase for things too. I mean, it's not an investable asset, so I guess it's going to be FedNow is one U.S. Fiat dollar is one FedNow, so that is now a investable asset. I mean, it might be stable, but even with stable, it moves a little bit. I mean, and then there you go. It's not even going to be a true transfer of money, because it's just going to be digits on a screen, because everybody knows that if everybody went and took all their money out of the bank right now, that only 10 to 20% of the people would get the money. Did you know that one time?
Yeah, that's the run on the bank scenario, which, by the way, we ran into in 2008. So that's not some hypothetical scenario.
And I'm surprised that, I don't know if anybody has tried to get money out of the bank and 5 figures, it's almost impossible. I mean, there's definitely something going on with our banking system. And one of the reasons why I'm scared with the next increase of the Fed Reserve rate is because of the run on the banks. Because, I mean, we're going to be kind of screwed then.
There's a lot of mid-sized regional banks that everybody forgets. Like, that was like the #1 concern 6 months ago. We've had 3 of the 4 largest bank failures in the history of the United States in the last year.
This year, yeah.
Right, this year. So, all of a sudden, that's not even a topic of conversation. So now,
And it should be.
Now the Fed's saying, we're going to leave rates up potentially for 6 months or a year. Nobody was envisioning that scenario. So that's the risk. And that's why I don't think they're going to do what Jerome Powell spooked everybody in a major way, which, by the way, we talked about in the members only live stream. We said exactly what was going to happen, and I think it was very obvious what was going to happen. So it's not like, we had a crystal ball. They weren't going to raise rates. We knew that. And he was going to talk as tough as he possibly could. And that's exactly what happened. He said a few things that were maybe a little bit new in the way of, hey, we're not only are we going to raise rates, but, we're not, maybe potentially not even going to lower them next year. And I'll show this chart, but I don't want to get too deep into it. But this is what freaked everybody out.
Cosmic, I'm with you too, by the way.
So
no rational person should want one.
This is their dot scatter chart, whatever you want to call it. So each one of these dots represents a member of the Fed. And this is where they think rates are going to be. So in the year 2023, so this is where rates are right now. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 members of the Fed that think rates are going to stay right where they are between now and the end of the year. And, without counting these dots, or somewhere around 10 or 12, I think it was 12, that think we're going to have one more rate hike before the end of the year.
Craig.
So this is not what freaked people out. This is exactly what everybody thought. What freaked people out was, here's an outlier up here. So I don't think people necessarily worry about an outlier. But you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members of the Fed that think we will not lower rates at all for the entire year next year. And then, this is one time lowering rates, 2 times, and this is a 1/4 point each, of course, assuming that they do it a 1/4 of a point at the time. Now, they've done more dramatic moves than that in the past, both in up direction and the down direction in recent history. So, if the wheels start to come off, they could move this number quickly, which they have done in the past. But this is what spooked the market. We had just after on our members only live stream, we talked about, I think I might even still have the article up somewhere. S&P 500 marks 100 days without a 1.5% drop. The first time since 2018. That's 5 years. The market. It's been 5 years since the market had 100 days of this little amount of volatility with a 1.5% drop to the downside. So sure enough, Tuesday night we talked about this. Wednesday and Thursday, we had a 1.5% drop in the market. So after the longest streak in 5 years, we had back-to-back days. And by the way, if you look at what happened today, by the end of the day, and I'll refresh, by the end of the day today, I believe everything finished in the red. So we were in the green. I look at the NASDAQ mostly from a cryptocurrency Bitcoin standpoint. This is the one that has the most correlation. So, we were in the green almost all day. Well, guess what? Even the NASDAQ finished in the red. So the S&P down 0.23, the Dow down 0.31. The NASDAQ, which was up almost a point at one point, ended up, basically at almost exactly break even, but technically in the red.
Tom, go over 2 and see what the problem is. Where your mouse is, go over 2 to the right.
Crude oil?
Yep.
Yeah, 90 bucks.
Yep.
And at one point a couple of days ago, or even yesterday, I can't remember, it was up over $92. So, you know, they're starting to talk about $100 oil.
Oh yeah, it's
and
coming. I mean,
that's not, obviously that's not good for inflation. That's not good for top line CPI data. They do exclude that out of core, which is baffling to me and a lot of people, but that's what they do.
Edmund, I'm talking about over $10,000. I recently did a purchase. It was around $15,000. I had to do it in over a 2-day transaction. I couldn't just go and get it. At least that's how my bank was.
Banks are much tighter on passing out money. I mean, it used to be, you know, you could go grab 10, 15, 20 grand out of the bank and they'd be like, okay, here you go. Now that's like,
no.
Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have that much in the safe. Yeah, but you're a bank. You
How does that shoot the moon? Mexico has $56 a barrel. You know what's crazy? That was the problem way back when. You remember when we had all this cheap oil in the United States? We had a ton of it. And but on the market it was more expensive. And of course we're a global market. I gotta sneak. I'll be right back.
All right, this is while George is gone, I'll give my plea to smash the like button if you just got here, or if you haven't yet. It does help the stream. It helps the channel. Much appreciated. And thank you to the 86 people who have smashed the like button. And thanks to all of the people that are joining us. And I have not said hello to the members, so I'm just going to spend 1 second. Hello, Sour Melon Gaming, and Edmund, and Darren, and Tom, and let's see. Pardon me if I mispronounce your name. I'm horrible at name pronunciations. Elim, Crypto Fever, Cosmic Contrarian, Darren S., Craig, FV702, His Honor, Ironhead, Mr. J, JR. I'm just scrolling down the list. These are the people that have put something in the chat, and that's the only way that I can see if you're here or not. So these are all members to the channel, so I just want to take a moment and thank the members. Much appreciated. If you're interested, we have a $5 a month membership. It's got to be the cheapest membership on YouTube. And I feel like we give an awful lot of content for $5 a month. I do each week the members get a members only live stream Tuesday after the market closes. Of course, we do a live stream for the whole world every Friday, so we'll always do that as well. And so a members only live stream, the members get to pick a company for me to do a deep dive on. So I actually do a deep dive into a company that I may not know anything about. So, you know, that's a bunch of work for me, but I'm glad to do it because we have an excellent bunch of members. So we get a lot of fantastic recommendations, and a lot of times it's stocks I would have never known about had a member not recommended it. And I'm sure the same is true for a lot of the other members. So by sharing information with each other, we also have a members only Discord. And like George was talking about earlier, there's an awful lot of information that gets shared on that. So thank you very much to all existing members. If you are interested in becoming a member, and I just want to take a second because Mr. J just gifted one membership. So just so that everybody knows, when you gift, you can gift a membership if you're already a member. And however, when you do that, you don't get to pick the person, so it's random. So Mr. J, thank you for gifting a membership, and that membership went to Terry Sharp. So congratulations, Terry. You are now the latest and greatest member of the Talkin' Investing squad, and there's a bunch of content. There's probably 50 or 60 or 70 videos there waiting for you if you're interested in those. In addition to that, you can join us on the live stream Tuesday after the market closes. So thanks again, everybody. Hello to Robert. And if I missed you, sorry, it's a long list and it's hard for me to keep up with the chat. So hello to all the members. Thank you again for your support. It's much appreciated. Let's see. Crypto Fever said, they said proceed cautiously 6 to 7 times. This is a different Fed. I think they are done raising rates, and more than 2 cuts coming next year is inevitable. Money printer is going to ramp up. So Crypto Fever, I agree. I don't think they indicated that. I think they tried to scare us into thinking that wasn't going to happen, but I do think they're going to be forced into that. So I think that's about what's going to happen. And I don't think they're, I think, so let's go to this, let's go to the CME FedWatch tool, and you'll see, so I took a screenshot of this now 11 days ago on September 11th. So as of September 11th, 42% of people thought that on the November 1st meeting, we would get a rate hike. So if you look today, that is now down to 23.9%. So even though the scatter chart came out, even though they're talking about a rate hike, less and less people are believing that that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but it won't shock me. Obviously, we're stuck somewhere between, is there going to be no more rate hikes or one more rate hike? And, you know, to FV702's point, are we going to get a couple of drops next year? You know, they're trying to say maybe not, or it'll be later than sooner. So we'll see. Crypto Craig said, thanks, Tom. We appreciate you. Terry said, thanks, Mr. J. And Terry was the one who got the gifted membership.
So, Tom, what Bitcoin miner is the most undervalued right now, in your opinion? And I know this is not financial advice.
Not financial advice. Obviously, I like CleanSpark is now under $4. So a lot of things, the Bitcoin miners got beat up a lot worse than Bitcoin. So to answer that question, let me just show you guys something really quickly. If you look at Bitcoin itself, you'll see really in the last, since September 11th, so that is 11 days ago, this has been basically an upward trend. Yes, we pulled back a little bit in the last couple of days. We do have a descending line of resistance. I think we need to break out of this white line. If you guys can see this white line, when we've touched this a couple of times, including just a few days ago, I think one of the indicators that we run back up to 30 or 31,000 would be to cross this descending line of resistance. The second one would be, I think we need to get back above this blue line here, which is at 28,265, you know, and that's not an exact number. If we can do those two things, I think we run up to 30 or 31,000. However, I'm a lot less confident of that than I was, you know, before the Fed and before this now 3-day move in the wrong direction. The RSI did go under 50. Now, the day's not over, so we'll see. But at the moment, the daily RSI is at 49.15. So I really was hoping, this seems arbitrary, but 50 is exactly neutral. I was hoping this would stay above 50, but this is super neutral. So, you know, some of the technicals, some of the easiest technicals to look at have turned super neutral. That, you know, that's the daily RSI. This is the daily MACD. Once again, still printing green candles, but, you know, very sideways, so nothing definitive here. So whereas this was moving in the right direction, and, you know, if I draw this line, actually, let's do this. You know, if we go from August 18th, so that's over a month ago, you know, even if I go to here, in general, we're still in an upward trend on the daily RSI. So I don't think we've broken that. So I'm a little bullish still, but just a little bit less than I was a week ago. And my point of all this, back to George's question, in that same time that these things have been happening, Bitcoin's been getting healthier. The technicals are getting healthier. If you go to, and I'll just pick a few here. Let's pick Riot, since they didn't have, a few companies had some big news come out, and that maybe skewed things a little bit. But even if you just pick Riot, like Riot in the last week, right from September 18th, they're down 20%. And this is what's happening to all the Bitcoin miners, right? And you'll see Riot is actually very close to this spot, which was June 15th. So this was that previous dip that Bitcoin took. This is the last time Bitcoin dropped down to 25,000. Now, Bitcoin dropped down to 25,000 again, and now it's over 26,000, but yet we're hitting lower points on a lot of these Bitcoin miners. So, you know, to some extent, without going in head first and going all in, to me, these are dollar cost averaging opportunities. So, but conversely, so Riot's down 20%. If you look at Marathon in that same period, and we know Marathon made their move. So let's go back to, it was that this was, I'm going to go back here and then I'll do the same for Riot. This was the day they made their announcement that they were going to convert $417 million of debt into equity. So since they made that announcement, Marathon stock is down 30%. So if we compare that to Riot, I got to go to, what was the day? That was September 7th. Right, so that was this day. Where are we? So in that same period of time, Riot's down 18%. So you can see there's that, they diluted 18%, so they're down an extra 12%. All that kind of makes sense, really, in comparison. Some of the stuff that got beat up, right? CleanSpark, and this is almost across the board. Every Bitcoin miner from just a week ago, I'm just going from not even a week ago, CleanSpark's down 20% in that time. So to me, for no reason, they just announced yesterday they got to 9.5 exahash. And one of the ways they did so was to swap out some of their older machines for the latest and greatest, much more energy efficient machines. So, you know, in a period of time where they've upped their exahash and gotten more efficient, their stock has pulled back under $4. So to me, I think, you know, not financial advice, but to me, I think that's the most undervalued. Iris Energy's pulled back quite a bit. So if I go from September 14th, which was 8 days ago, Iris Energy's down 27%. So they were hanging around at around 5.25. They had their announcement. So that, you know, they announced a $500 million at the market offering. And, you know, they're not actually down significantly more than the other miners, but they are down a little bit more. So everything's down across the board for the most part. There's another miner I don't own at all that I'm starting to look at. So I'll say right now, I'll let everybody know. I have not bought any shares of this. I don't own it now. I've never owned it. But if CIFR continues to pull back, I would start to get interested in CIFR. I think this is a high quality company. The reason I don't own this stock is, while I do think it's a high quality company, if I go look at CIFR, their market cap is $612 million, and that's after this big pullback. So I think they have a disproportionately high market cap. I think there's room to the downside, but just as far as what companies do I think survive, this is on my list. I think this is one of the better Bitcoin mining companies. But like I said, I don't own this company, not financial advice. I'm not telling you guys to buy this company. But what I will say is I'm getting interested in them. So I think there's a lot of, you know, if you're bullish, there's a lot of potential buying opportunities. If you're a dollar cost average person, you know, then you're not necessarily worried. Maybe this isn't the bottom. Maybe we keep going down. At a bare minimum, I'll tell you this, if we go back to the Bitcoin chart, if nothing else, we have already tested this $25,000 a couple of times, which means, you know, even if we were to just do that again, there's another 5 or 6% move to the downside just to go back to where we just were. So, you know, that could be additional opportunity.
Shaif said, I think that if the war ends in Ukraine, it will be really good for the markets. As I agree with you, but with what I just read in the bathroom, what just happened, the war's not ending anytime soon.
Well, I don't know what the answer to that is, but it does, you know, the pattern of a lot of these wars seem to be they end later than sooner, unfortunately. So
Adele said there's good news coming in the next few years. Safe Banking Act, we're screwed, and DEA to reschedule. No, anytime they have the name Safe Banking Act, you know what I mean? Anytime they have the name of what they're trying to do, I get scared.
Yeah, sometimes
like affordable health care. Sorry.
there's a lot. Yeah, be wary of those types of named
Statement.
things by the governments.
Inflation Reduction Act. You remember that one?
Oh yeah.
Sorry, just little statements that U.S. deals with.
Let's see. I think Sour Melon Gaming already answered that question. Riot. So, which Bitcoin miner has the best balance sheet? In my opinion, I would agree with that. I think Riot has the strongest balance sheet. There's a few Bitcoin miners that have very strong balance sheets. I think Riot has the strongest, but there's an argument to be made for a couple of others.
Dr. J. Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah.
Patriot Act.
The list could go on and on. Shaman said my own balance
Tom,
sheet
is there a
looking
period of time where you are going to pull out of Bitcoin miners? I forgot who asked it.
Like, as time goes on over the course of the years?
Next year, the year after.
I will take, if things go according to my plan, which nothing ever does, so that's already out the window, but I am expecting bullish activity in Bitcoin over the next several years. So is that before the halving? Is it after the halving? Is it in 2024? Is it in 2025? I don't know when it is, but I do think the next bull run is, I don't think it's 10 years away. I think the next bull run is somewhere in the next 18 months. I think it's sooner than later, but let's say 18 months. If we have a nice bull run, if we hit new all-time highs in Bitcoin and the miners have a huge run up, what I will do is I will take profits on my Bitcoin miners. So I'm not going to dump all my positions. I'm in these for even longer term than that because I think there's a lot more upside to Bitcoin in a 5-year window and a 10-year window. So the best of the Bitcoin miners, I think, will continue to run. Now, I could try to time it and sell them all at the top and try and buy them back at the bottom. I have other ways through options of trying to make a couple of, pennies along the way. But I will take profits. I will trim my positions. If we get to new all-time highs and these things pull 3x's, 4x's, 5x's, 10x's, whatever the case may be, certainly I will be diligent. I'll tell you, I already did that. And it wasn't a lot, but about a month and a half into 2023, Riot was up 440%. So I sold some of my shares of Riot. I took some profit. That is a massive, massive move in an unbelievably short period of time. Even with selling some of those shares, it's still one of my biggest positions. So that will be my concept if and when the opportunity presents itself. And that's why I've continued to dollar cost average in. I have an awful lot more shares today than I did 3 months ago, 6 months ago. Particularly since October of 2022, I ramped up my dollar cost averaging significantly. So that's left me with a lot more shares. So this overabundance of shares leaves me the ability to sell some, later and take profits. But I'm not seeing that anytime in the next, 6, 8, 12 months. But, if there's if we really have a blow off top like we've had at other points in the past with Bitcoin, the higher this goes, the more profits I'll take. But I'm not getting out. And I also may consolidate as time goes by. Like I said earlier, for those of you who weren't here, you got to continue to look at each of these investments and see, is your thesis still the same? Have things changed on your stock? Have things changed on a competitor that maybe make them now a better investment than the one you're in? So I may continue to consolidate into less and less of the Bitcoin miners. The higher the Bitcoin miners go, the more I'll try to take profits of the ones I have lower conviction on. And those are smaller positions. So, I may get out of my small positions, take profits on some of my larger positions. So that's kind of my concept. But we're going to have to see, right? That's assuming Bitcoin does what I want it to do. And, that's assuming that the miners that I have a high level of conviction in are the ones that go up.
Hey, this would be a funny statement, but you guys get me, and I think that's why Tom and I love doing these streams, because I just laugh hysterically as you guys write when Tom's talking.
I know there must be something going on in the chat, because sometimes I just see George laughing, and I know I'm not saying anything that's remotely funny.
It just makes me laugh because it's like so funny. It's just the stuff you guys write is so funny. Adele is saying she's riding the cannabis sector for the next few months and then coming back when these stocks get super cheap. That's actually might be a really good play.
That's been working out if you hopefully, if you got in and caught some of what's already gone on.
And then I guess it's Janos, or is it Jos? Marathon has decreased the risk with the buyback. See, this person agrees with me, Tom. I totally agree.
So yeah, and that person is not alone. There's a lot of people that feel like this was a decent, either a decent move or a good move. The opinions on this matter vary vastly. I don't like this move. I did a video and explained exactly why I don't like this move and why I think it was the wrong move at the wrong time. They have 3 years and 3 months to handle this debt to equity situation. I have no idea what the urgency was to dump 31.7 million shares.
They need to raise money for something. And somebody looked at them as an investor and said, listen, I would give you this money for blah, blah, blah. But remember, Tom, they don't, besides the miners, they have no other assets. That's the problem with Marathon.
Right. They said they're going to start to change that, but that's right. They took the approach, we're going to be asset light in their words, and we're not going to buy land, we're not going to buy infrastructure, we're not going to have our own, we're going to have other people host our machines, and by doing so, we'll be able to buy a lot more machines and be bigger than everybody. So we'll see how that works out for them. Their cost per coin is higher than the average company's cost per coin. So if things stay the same at the halving, they will be losing money with each Bitcoin that they mine. So if the difficulty level stays the same, if the price of Bitcoin stays the same at the halving, Marathon, and they're not the only ones, so I'm not singling them out, we just happen to be talking about them, but as things are currently stand, they would lose money with each Bitcoin that they mine. From scratch, I'm not talking about overhead and all that, I'm just literally talking about their electric cost, their plus cost for hosting would be greater than the retail price of the Bitcoin that they mine. And
how does it change their balance sheet? Tim is asking. How does it change Marathon's balance sheet?
What they did?
Yes.
So what they did is eliminated $417 million in debt, long-term debt, and that debt was due, on December 1st, 2026. And in doing so, they added 300 million-ish of equity, right? Because they converted that to equity. So, if you do a lot of the ratios, their balance sheet does look better. Their equity has increased. Oh, FE702, I just want to take a time out and I'll get back to that. FE702, thank you so much for the super chat. Riot buying Bitfarms, my prediction. I would be okay with that. Number one, Riot's one of my large positions. Number two, Bitfarms one of my large positions. And if they buy it, they'll probably buy it at a premium. That's a bold prediction. I haven't heard anybody else say that. I don't know that that's going to happen, but that would be fascinating. I feel like I would win twice on that deal. So, FE702, I hope you're right. But right now, the price of Bitfarms, they're another one that if you're... Now, I will tell you, Bitfarms' cost per coin is high. So they're in the same situation that Marathon's in.
So Tom and I talked, I want to say it was 3 weeks ago now, Tom, that you and I talked and we said, we need to do $1 trillion. We're going to do how the market's going to lose $1 trillion in the next 90 days.
Oh, yes.
And we didn't do it, of course. We didn't do it because it was everything was kind of decent. And I'm like, Tom, this is what's going to happen. And I started listing. I'm like, we're going to lose
Probably
50
already
billion
happened.
here. Yeah, it's probably already happened. We're going to lose 50 billion here. We're going to lose 30 billion here. We're going to lose, and here we go. I think we've already achieved that. Because Tom, is it still the same fact that it's like 20 stocks make up 90% of the value?
It's not 90%, but there's
80, 78%.
I can't remember. It's a massive percent.
Yeah. It's something that's unbalanced.
It's wildly unbalanced. I read an article a while ago. You know, the S&P 500 is really the S&P 10.
This is the paper, and this is a pen. I'm going to write that down, Adele. Some people don't know what these things are anymore.
So Gary's asking, was Marathon's choice to borrow in 2021 versus diluting as all other miners a positive choice? My answer to that is it's tricky because by doing convertible debt, they were able to raise $730 million at a conversion price that was probably well beyond what they would have been able to raise if they just went with straight equity. Having said that, you know, if their stock never gets back to that, the flip side of this, and Marathon's argument is, look, if we never get back to $76 a share, we could end up having to pay $730 million of this debt back. And that would cause them, the only way for them to do that would be to dilute massively, and that would be a worse dilution event than the one that they just did. The other thing that I think is worth pointing out is, and, you know, they did, to be fair, they did warn, they put out a press release on September 8th, I believe, and they talked about converting $417 million of shares from debt to equity. In that, they said that they were going to have to issue 26.2 million shares to make that happen. But they did put a disclaimer at the end. You know, these are preliminary numbers. That number may change, and in fact, you know, the deal may not happen at all. Obviously, until it's a done deal, you know, the final settled numbers are unknown. So that 26.2 million shares ended up being 31.7 million shares. So that is a 21% increase in the number of shares of dilution versus what the initial press release was. And there was only 12 days in the middle. I think from the day they said they were going to do this was September 8th. The day they closed on this deal was September 20th. So, you know, that was even a little bit worse, you know, of a deal, if you will. It accomplished the same goal by all measures, but I believe the numbers worked out that it was 18.2% dilution, whereas they were hoping it was going to be 15% dilution. Having said that, if they would have just waited until 3 years and 3 months from now, it would have been 5% dilution. And probably with the stock they issued 3% dilution. And with the stock they issued between now and then, that could have turned into maybe 2% or 1.5% dilution. So, you know, there was risk and reward. So like anything else, I think this was a hedge, and this is what they did. So, you know, it's their management. If they thought this was best, then, you know, so be it. It's not what I would have done. But guess what? It's not my company.
Yeah, but I will tell you, though, Tim, it changes my opinion that the company is at least not going to go out of business when I thought it would go out of business. So I think that this was going to give them an opportunity to raise more funds, because everybody knows that's what they're going to do. They're going to end up raising more funds somehow or another. And they needed it, and that's why. So,
Marathon.
Yeah, Marathon. Tom, didn't you do a deep dive on PLTR?
Yes.
Okay. So, Adele, see, you're not a member, and Tom did a really good deep dive on PLTR. What was your final conclusions? Do you remember?
I mean, it's not financial advice.
Did you invest in them?
No.
Would you invest in them?
They're starting to get to a number that's interesting to me again. The main reason I didn't invest in them is I feel like I missed the boat. Okay. I'll pull up their chart and I'll show you.
Adele, you made it to the page.
So I don't even remember what this line was doing. It looks like it broke that line, but then it went. So, you know, by the time, I don't know when I did my video, but you can see, like, there was a couple of giant buying opportunities. They bounced off. I'm awful at drawing, but I'm going to do it anyway. So at the time, I believe this was their all-time low. And then you can see here in December 2022, a lot of stocks, the high growth stocks, and the Bitcoin miners are all a part of this group. The high growth stocks all got to, by late December, and it was almost the exact same day, December 27th of 2022, I would venture to say an all-time record of stocks hit their all-time low. And Palantir was one of them. So, you know, at $5.92, by the time we got into $10, you start to feel like you've missed the boat. But that was wrong because, you know, we got as high as 20 and now we're at $14. So had I bought here, and this, I'm trying to remember, I think this is around when I did this. I just felt like, you know, this is not the buying opportunity day, and I didn't do it. So, you know, if you're bullish on this, there's people that think this stock is going an awful lot higher than this. But this stock already has a big market cap. That's the other thing that skews my opinions. So I'll show you. Just quickly we'll do this because this is a stock that's a very extremely popular retail stock.
I doubt we liked it. Don't start bringing in Kathy Woods because it could get the Kathy Woods curse.
Market cap $30 billion. So
wow,
I spend a lot of time in Bitcoin miners. So every single Bitcoin miner, all added up, put together, I think is down to about $8 billion. That's all of them added up, put together. So
yeah, I know.
When I see one company with a $30 billion market cap, and it's not like they're minting money. They are now profitable. So
that's good.
You can see in 2022, they made
Is their profit going up in smoke?
They made 6 cents a year. This is not a technology company. So 6 cents a share, that puts their price earnings at an astronomical. Now, they're looking at potentially 23 cents a share this year, 27 cents a share next year. You can see 16% growth, 18 or 19% growth. So this is a very solid growth company. But if you look at the PE ratio, they don't even show it. But, I mean, you can do the math. At 6 cents a share, their trailing 12-month price earnings is astronomical. So, but with these small cap high growth stocks, that's usually not the number that's very important. It's what's their future growth and how profitable are they going to be 2 years from now, 5 years from now. And I think this company has software that is getting mass adoption. It's a big AI play, right? This was the initial AI play before AI was the thing that everybody was talking about. This was used by, you know, governments around the world, defense departments around the world. Well, they've migrated into commercial customers and they're growing their business. So I think this business has a lot of good things ahead. I'll end there because this is not a Palantir video, but I like the company.
How much cash do they have, Tom? Somebody just asked that, Michael.
I would have to go look at their financials, but they're cash flow positive at this point.
Okay, that's good.
So to me, that's the key. They've gotten past that point where that's some of the key thresholds where investors get very interested in these small cap high growth stocks. When they get cash flow positive from operations, when they have positive EBITDA, even if they're not making money, you know, by GAAP measures. So some of those things had already started to happen. This company's already had a big run. There are a lot of people that think this will be one of the, you know, largest companies in the world 10 years from now. So, you know, when you look at a $30 billion market cap from that perspective, there's a lot of room left to the upside. I'm not buying into this anytime soon, but this is a super popular stock, so I'm not knocking it. If you're in it, you're probably going to do great. You know, I don't know.
Tom, can you do a poll for me real quick?
Absolutely. Let's do a poll.
Do they really want me to do a CleanSpark video, even though the video isn't the best? The talking is probably the best. I have one of these microphones, which is awesome to record people. So the sound is amazing. It's just I didn't do enough video. You see, would they watch that video or not? That's the question. George, do CleanSpark site visit video? Yes or no? And we haven't done any other polls, so I figured we'd finally get a poll up at 5:37 after we've been here for an hour and 20 minutes.
Give me 10 seconds. I'll type this.
Jay had a really interesting comment. What was it, Jay? In my opinion, we might see blood on the streets again. Credit debt is out of the roof. Power wants rates to stay high for longer. I know. I would hold on cash and inject when things cool off. I cannot disagree with that statement. And did you read what Adele wrote? She said Bitcoin to 15K. I didn't say it, guys. Somebody else said it. I'm not saying that's going to happen.
All right. The poll that I just put up is, should George do a CleanSpark video from his on-site tour? And then I said low quality video but high quality audio. Are people interested in that? So we'll let that poll go for a little while. That's our first poll. Better late than never.
What we should do is a premiere on it.
Oh yeah, we could do. Absolutely. Stephen English
Not like
saying,
this NFL season's any good anyways.
I've already given up. I gave up after week
Big
1.
shout out to Colorado. Is it Colorado State where Dion is?
Colorado.
Dude, I just cannot. I don't know about you guys, but I've been watching I can't get enough. We have a really good friend who's on the coaching staff over there and player development. Really impressed with what he's doing. And that he just, you know what? Positivity speaks so well.
He is a great, great guy, and you know he's been an unbelievably hard worker, and finally he's gotten this opportunity. So congratulations to, I don't know if you want to say his name or not, George, but
oh yeah, I'm not without his permission. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't. He probably doesn't want to admit to knowing me. Colorado Buffaloes. See, you know what I mean. So if he doesn't want to admit to. I'm low-key famous, Tom.
Crypto Craig Miller Minor said, George, come back and make another video with higher quality. So, Crypto Craig, are you at CleanSpark?
I have his card right here, Tom.
Oh, all right. Well, special thanks to Crypto Craig. So, yeah, George, maybe you can do that. You can come back and make another.
I don't know what I did with his credit.
Oh, and you already answered him and said, I will. So I'm behind. Sorry.
Look. Let's see. I can do it.
Stephen English is saying, is Dion a rah-rah guy or real X's and O's guy? I don't know the answer to that, but based on his performance.
No, he's a real X's and O's, dude. And he's got an older son that's like filming. He's on YouTube, and I recommend watching it. Because, I mean, dude, nobody can motivate you like he can motivate you. Look, it doesn't even show up. Sorry, guys. I put it up to the screen and it was all blurry. But nobody motivates you like that. And you know what? That's so great to hear because no one believes in you except you. And if you believe in you, you got to tell people you believe in you.
Nate's saying it would be nice to see some actual video footage from CleanSpark sites plus a quality video. The people are speaking, George. They both want you to do a video of the existing video, and they want you to go back.
It was
and
impressive.
Do another
I'm not gonna lie. You know, I did invest in the CleanSpark, and I still, as much as I would hate to admit it, sit on a whole bunch of CleanSpark stock, even against my own opinions. I go against myself sometimes. And I was up a ton of money, and I knew I should have sold that day, but I didn't.
Buy and hold, not financial advice. Thank you, everybody. We're over 100 likes. Much appreciated. If you're new to the stream, or if you have not, if you could do us a giant favor and smash the like button, much appreciated. I know this was a rough week. I will do my weekend update video that I always do, and it's not going to be pretty. The Bitcoin miners did not do well this week at all. This was brutal. BitDeer finally had a little bit of a turnaround. I'm just going to jump to this one. BitDeer has been a very... Not on the 15-minute, that's of no use. BitDeer's been a very strange stock. While everything else was getting beat up, look at this. Green day, green. These are big days. Green, 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 green. They just had one red day in the last week. They were up from their low to their high while everybody else was getting crushed. These guys were up 62%. I mean... That doesn't even make sense. BitDeer.
Who's this? Is that BTBT?
BTDR. So BTBT is Bit Digital. They've also done very well this year. But BitDeer and this company I can't figure out. But again, I mean, I'm just doing the math. So from their low on the 18th to their high on the 23rd, this stock had a 60% run up while everything else was pretty much crashing. So it was, I mentioned it a lot of times along the way. I don't know what's going on with this stock. So finally today, you know, it joined the party, and we actually had the worst day out of all the Bitcoin miners, down 11.5%. I don't know. And all of that on the amazing volume of...
I hate to tell you this. I'm going to tell it again, though.
Look at this volume. 83,000 shares.
Do you remember when Stronghold did their conversion?
What?
And I said, time to short.
Elaborate.
When they did their 1 for 6 or 1 for 5.
Oh, the reverse split.
Yeah. I said, time to short. Short.
Stronghold had
that 50% down.
Stronghold has had a rough year. So let me go to my
I don't want them to go out of business, guys. Out of any of the companies, I really don't want them to go out of business, because what they're doing for the environment is just amazing.
There's four Bitcoin miners that are in the red since January 1st. Now this was as of, actually it won't change. It'll still just be the 4, even with the bad week we had. Since January 1st to now, there's 4 Bitcoin miners in the red, and Stronghold is one of them. They're down 4% prior to this week's action. And like I said, all Bitcoin miners had a bad week this week. If there was one exception, I haven't found it yet. It'll show up in these charts, but not a good week at all for the Bitcoin miners. But having said that, I just, you know, it's important to remember, I'm going to go back to this chart. This was a good week for Bitcoin. Right on September 11th, the big talking point was, you know, we got down to 24,900, and we were at an inflection point where, you know, are we going down to 20,000? Are we going below 20,000? Well, we turned around on a dime within an hour or two, and, you know, we ran back up from 24.9. We got back up as high as 27,500. That's right here. So just a few days later. So this has been a good week. Yes, the week ended on a couple of red days. Today was pretty much flat, but we're up. I mean, we're up on the week. So for Bitcoin. And for as long as that's true, you know, the Bitcoin miners, and like I said, so I think two things have to happen. Number one, see this descending line of resistance. We got to break through this. And then this line right here at 28,265. So in my opinion, those two things, all right, if we can pass those two things, then I think we have a run in Bitcoin. You know, it is not off the table that Bitcoin still turns around and runs up to 30 or 31,000. in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. What's your thoughts on that, George?
I've been thinking for a long time that there was going to be a little bit of a run back to 30,000 in Bitcoin. I mean, short term, I thought that was going to happen, but now I'm starting to lose that faith. By the way,
you're losing the faith.
I'm losing it just because everybody else is going the other way. Conventional wisdom is not conventional, so that's what made me think that it should go to 30.
But are you changing your mind?
With what's coming, I mean, because now we're into almost October. If you asked me this in October, I could give you a clearer point of view. But Bitcoin is not separated from the Nasdaq yet. It just hasn't. And thanks, Craig, for the money.
Yes, I was just going to say, Craig. I'll just interrupt for 1 second. Craig gave a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. And Craig said, for reaching over 100 likes and all your guys' hard work. So thank you very much, Craig, from me and George.
And Tom is the one that really, I just come on, Tuesdays and Fridays. But Tom's the one that really is the man behind the curtain. Oh wait, I guess I would be the man behind the curtain. You're the guy walking the yellow brick road. But I will tell you, I started weekly daily cost averaging into Bitcoin about a month ago, a little bit over a month ago, and I have not changed that. I'm not getting out. I'm just going to keep averaging in, pretty substantial amount of money a week. And so I'm just going to keep doing that. I've got 80% of the money that I got that's going towards crypto is towards Bitcoin, and the other 20% I'm spreading like 5 or 6 different coins.
So I mean that's the tried and true method. So not financial
I'm
advice
hoping
from George, but that's what he's doing, and that's.
I personally didn't want to get into Bitcoin above 25,000 personally. I thought 25,000 would be where I would start to really accumulate. So if it does get to 25,000, and this strategy was really from Tom talking to me, and about how he would do his investing, and it wasn't from me.
If Bitcoin, if you're bullish long term, and I know for as much as George does maybe think we're going to have some pain and suffering in between, I do think you still remain bullish. I won't speak for you, but I think you remain bullish long term. So,
But I think the long term could be more like 3 years. I think, unfortunately, I think in the world of what is going on in the world right now, that there's just a lot of things, up isn't up and down isn't down anymore, left isn't left and right isn't right. And I mean, I don't know if you guys feel that too, but that's how I feel. And it's like, to me, it seems like the miners should be, at least double what they currently are, even based on the price that it currently is. But, for whatever reason, they're not. And I think now, looking at it, it looks like the game plan is to destroy a few more miners, Bitcoin miners, at the halving, and to take them out. I mean, it's just too close to it.
And they could do it. They could take an awful lot of Bitcoin miners out, somewhere, from 2 months before the halving to 6 months after the halving. If they keep the pain on hard, they could take a lot of these guys out.
Yeah.
FE702 said, okay, at 50K, I'm flying to CleanSpark and setting up a DJ booth outside the gate. The last thing I saw him say was, I'm going to the basement, but I can't find that one. Oh, FE702 said, at 31K, I'm going to the cellar and getting drunk. Fair enough. Stephen English said ETF. Stephen English, a rare shout out. Stephen English said, tech support is the man behind the curtain.
Yes, he's the man behind the curtain. Thanks, tech support.
Yes, thanks to tech support, because as you guys know, that's not my best thing.
I mean, Nate, look at the quality of our video of this stream right now. No offense, Tom.
Are you insinuating that there's something wrong with the quality of our stream? Nate said, thanks to Tom and George. Thank God for Bitcoin. cetera, et cetera. So thank you, Nate.
By the way, this is another thing that I want everybody to know this. With XRP, I still believe in it, but I have always said that I felt that it's going to 23 to 25 cents. But because of Operation Choke Point, the only way I could get the size that I needed into it is I had to weekly cost average into it. And I mean, it took me over 2 years to build out my position into XRP. And remember,
yeah, you
I
were
think the coin
methodical about that.
Yeah, and I think the coin that's going to win, and I mean Bitcoin. Look, we all agree Bitcoin's going to do great. I mean, nobody in here, I don't think, would be here if they didn't think Bitcoin's going to be. But I don't think Bitcoin's going to be the absolute winner. And what I mean by that is number of X from here on out. So if you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin is the best asset ever in the world. I don't know if people know this, but without a question of a doubt, Bitcoin has had a return that, started out at 4 cents. You could mine it for.
It's a part of the reason from here forward, it won't have the most upside.
Right.
It's already been by far the best performing asset in the history of the world.
Right, right. So, but going forward, there's going to be another winner that's going to, 10x, 20x, 30x, or 40x. And I don't think, unfortunately, that's going to be Bitcoin. And so that's the whole reason I'm in other cryptos. I don't know if it's going to be XRP. I'm hoping it's going to be XRP. It could be XLM. It could be Chainlink, maybe. I've actually kind of lost interest in Chainlink recently, by the way. But there's a lot of other. Go ahead.
Sorry, George. I think the one you're looking for is a 50x or a 100x because I think it's highly likely Bitcoin 10x would only get it to $250,000.
Right. So that's the reason why I love the plays on these other altcoins. I don't think they're all going away. I think that to look at the top 50 now. I used to say the top 20, but I would say the top 50. Is definitely some good stuff. But let's be honest, there's been things that have happened in the crypto space that's very concerning. And the best example of that is ETH. You can't change the fundamentals of a coin like they did. And
so, I don't know about this. So what
you don't know about what?
Maybe I misunderstood what you just.
Yeah, Ethereum. What the fundamentals of how
ETH. I thought you said EDH. I'm like, I don't know EDH.
Yeah, I was like, how do you not know? We talked about it, and I think that that's scary because I only will say this, and hopefully you guys can read between the line. Crypto solves real. Sorry, I have a speech impediment. Real world problems, and it's currently not doing that, and it solves some of the problems in a major way. And it's just when it happens, it just solves a lot of problems. I can't say what it is because hopefully people will understand that it is a truth measure. Unfortunately, the problem with the truth measure is you have to have regulations on it and you have to have controls on it, and it has to be open for everybody to see it.
And this is why I think Bitcoin differentiates itself. And I'm not saying. I don't think that. So I'm not a true Bitcoin maximalist. I don't believe it's the only cryptocurrency, and in the end, all other currencies will disappear, and there is only Bitcoin. But I do think I think Bitcoin dominance is at around 50% right now. I think you could expect to see that maybe even go up, and maybe even go up substantially before the end, of all of this. I think there's 5 or 6 or 10 or 15. But it's going to be projects that, like George was talking about, they have a utility. So they have something specific that they do. They have network security, right? Because nobody's going to put their money at risk into something that doesn't have fundamental security, that can get hacked or forked or any of those other things. It's also the reason I'm very adamant in my mind. I feel strongly that proof of work is just superior in every way, shape, or form to proof of stake. And I know there's some people that will disagree with me, the Ethereum crowd will say that I'm completely off base. So, everybody's got their own opinion. Right now,
Well,
most of the Bitcoin mining CEOs are at a proof of work conference talking about the benefits of proof of work to the energy grid and to the world. Never mind all the other benefits that George is talking about it brings.
yeah, and you know what? And I probably shouldn't even say this one, but I can't say it. I can't even say it.
Oh, now
But
we get the
let's just
we
say
get the other George now. I gave you the
Okay.
one George I
I
got.
just
Now I
can't
get
say
the
it,
other
guys.
one.
I mean, you guys are smart enough to understand what I'm talking about, and I mean, it's just we could fix so many problems right now going on crypto. But I do not want to ever do away with cash. Ever, never, ever, never, ever,
No,
ever,
I
never,
agree
ever, ever,
completely.
never, ever.
That's one of the big things that people get caught up in is a binary type of a scenario. It's either this or it's that. Like multiple things can exist at the same time. Crypto can thrive and become, one of the world's large assets. And at the same time, that doesn't mean that cash has to cease to exist or all fiat currency has to fail for that to happen, right? Gold is worth 10 or 11 trillion dollars. Fiat currency didn't have to fail for that to occur. And the same thing is true for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in total. So it's not, in my opinion, it's not one or the other. And I know a lot of people, particularly Bitcoin maximists or maximalists, whatever you call it, feel like fiat currency ultimately will all go away. I think that, maybe in some utopian future 500 or 1,000 years from now, but I don't see that as a realistic scenario at all.
No, I don't need. Well, and here, the other thing, Raymond just put this in there. Cash is trash, and you know what? Long term, I agree with that statement, but I don't believe it currently, because the dollar is so strong. I am a currency absolutely nut. I always am studying currencies. That's why I was so interested in BRICS. And remember, I think most of you guys heard about BRICS first here on this channel, and you guys were like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Do you remember that time? You guys were like, "You're a moron."
George, you're a year into the BRICS thing. Watch out.
We're a year into that. So I wouldn't say cash is trash yet, because if you look at these other currencies, we hit 94 cents on the euro today. So you take $1, you get 94 cents on the euro. So we're still in a very. Not only that, if you look at the yen, we're still at seven something. It's been at 7 something, because they manipulate their currency anyways.
I brought up the DXY. This is a measure of the US dollar versus a basket of foreign currencies. So to put it in perspective, this green line at 103, that represented a 20-year high coming into the year 2022. So we are above that line. So yes, there is inflation. Your dollar buys you less than it did, but as far as the U.S. dollar, being
JR, sorry.
As far as U.S. dollar losing its, strength around the world, or some other currency becoming the world's standard currency, I just don't see that in the cards either anytime soon. And I'm not saying never, right? The U.S. dollar hasn't always been the world currency, and it won't be forever, but I don't think BRICS is the replacement. If you look at the underlying countries that are a part of BRICS, their currencies are doing very poorly. So I don't know what makes them think combining them all together is somehow going to make them do better. The dollar is extremely strong right now. And I try to always point out when I say this, I'm not some dollar cheerleader. I don't like the fact the dollar being this strong is bad for my entire stock portfolio, and so everybody's stock portfolio. It's awful for Bitcoin. It's awful for cryptocurrencies. So I'm not a fan of this. I'm not cheering for this. I'm just pointing it out. The dollar is historically strong right now.
Well, and I mean, and to think about how Bitcoin was designed with the 1 million Satoshis per coin, correct?
100 million
A
satoshis per
hundred
one
million
Bitcoin.
for one. I mean, you can see at some point in time the value of that Bitcoin. You can see the scarcity of it. That's what makes these things worth a lot of money. And that's the reason why I still do love me some Bitcoin.
So I'm going back just so that you guys can see. This is the year 2002. The dollar hit, this 103.79, this green line in 2002. It bounced off of it 14 years later in 2016. It didn't break out of this until 2022. That's 20 years. So this whole period is just, sorry, this period right here, 2022, 23, sorry for my awful circle, like, this is unhealthy. This is too strong for the dollar. You can see some of the more natural points where we'd be in a better world, somewhere, down here, and that's not a straight line, but somewhere around 90, or, there's even been long periods of time where if I kind of draw a line through the middle of this, from here to here, we were somewhere around 80 or 81. So at 80 or 90, those are super healthy. This is to me, this is the sweet spot. But where we are right now, I mean, the dollar's very strong. It's too strong. And I guess just the reports of the demise of the US dollar are quantifiably incorrect. At least for now. Anything could happen going forward. So what I'm hoping is we get a nice little, however long it takes, we get a nice little pullback and hang out around here. But for now, I've been hoping that for a year, and it hasn't happened. When this happens, when this nonsense line that I just made occurs, it is highly likely that Bitcoin will take off. That's my personal opinion, and it's not just my opinion. It's conventional wisdom, not financial advice, not a guarantee, but that's how this has worked in the past.
That's kind of funny. Is that like a fish with a mouth?
My drawing?
Yeah,
I have
like a fish.
Absolutely no drawing ability whatsoever, so
That's funny.
try to stick. That's why I try to stick to the straight lines that the computer makes for me, because I couldn't even draw a straight line if I wanted to.
What's also funny, Tom? It's like I don't know why, but my emotions on like the dips that we're having. I mean, I know it's real dollars, real fiat dollars, US fiat dollars when they go down in the stocks on these miners, but for some reason I'm just not nervous.
You're not nervous about
I'm just the price action right now. For some reason I don't know. Maybe it's
that's
just
hey, that's
I
good.
don't have I don't have a ton of money into it, but I have a decent amount, but not a ton.
Maybe you have seen enough of their manipulation,
yeah,
that it's not scaring you the way it used to.
So the whole reason we started this channel is because Tom and I felt that the market was going to be manipulated really hard here, and it has. And I think that, when you get out and you just put all your cash on the sideline, you lose for sure, especially if the dollar goes down.
There's some other stuff. Should we do a poll, George?
I agree, Stephen. I'm numb to the dips now. I'm not sure if that's healthy. That's so true. Yes, I still work. Do a poll, Tom. Tom's doing a poll. He's doing a poll. I feel it coming.
I have more of a question. I'm trying to figure out how to turn it into a poll.
I think also, I still think Bitcoin is manipulated hard, and I don't think it's the actual true price of Bitcoin yet. I think hopefully that's what I'm hoping regulation will do. More of a market to market type of activity instead of a what we currently have now, I think you would call it a shit show. Sorry, but that's what honestly I would call it. Do you disagree with that, Tom?
Sorry, I'm doing that thing where I
well,
can't
no, he
multitask.
doesn't. I know he doesn't. It's when you can't have people self-govern themselves, and that's the problem of what's been going on with cryptocurrency.
Well,
all the cryptocurrency.
with cryptocurrencies, with crypto exchanges, but it's where also I would say Bitcoin differentiates itself. People aren't
George
right,
of the jungle.
I
I love that song. You know what? It's funny because I used to get ripped on that when I was a kid, about like 6 or 7, and I just embraced it, and I used to love it. And Georgie Porgy went out. What was it? Georgie Porgy went outside or something, kissed the girls and made them cry. I probably kissed a lot of girls and made them cry. You're agreeing with me? Wow, Cosmic, thank you. My whole life has been this way. People don't ever usually agree with me, but I'm usually right, and it sucks, but I am, and I don't want to be. And I think that's one of the reasons why, we stay doing this. Is everybody wants Bitcoin. Plan B is a great example of what everybody thought Bitcoin was going to do, but let's be honest, it never happened, and it's still not happening. And I think if Plan B is going to happen, I think it could have been a few cycles too early. So what I'm saying is Plan B could still be right, but I think no one knew about COVID. And so when COVID happened, it skewed everything. Everybody got all this free money. Everybody was sitting at home. They were just playing and like, oh, let's buy Bitcoin. I heard it's great. The government just gave me $5,000. Let's do it. Sorry.
There's no doubt the money, the quantitative easing, and all the other sources of money that flooded into the market and into the hands of retail investors caused a bubble in growth stocks that, we're still paying for.
Right.
And the Bitcoin miners are a part of that.
Right. Of course I know Russell. Russell now is tight. I haven't talked to him in about a week, though. He's a good guy. I know, he's a lunatic.
Okay, this particular poll is
Tom finally got the poll together.
On behalf of the channel. So on behalf of George and I, we have a question.
Oh, I have a question. If we have a shutdown, Tom, I have to ask this question, and thanks, John.
Fire away.
If we have a shutdown in the government, shouldn't Bitcoin take off?
I don't believe a shutdown in the government will affect Bitcoin. If it does affect Bitcoin, I think it will probably hurt it. I think it will hurt all investments. And because, like you said earlier, Bitcoin is not quite done decoupling from the indexes.
What does that do to the market if they shut down? Is it going to nosedive it? I
don't think so. This government shutdown thing is a scare tactic. It's not what everybody thinks it is. It's not like all essential functions still continue. People still get their Social Security, their Medicare, their, so it's not like it just turns off one day. And if it happens, in my opinion, it wouldn't last for long. So I think the effect on the market could be a little bit negative, and it wouldn't last for long. And I think Bitcoin would probably follow along. And I think it would be a buying opportunity for all of the above, because I think we can all agree, if there's a government shutdown, it is temporary. However long it is, it's absolutely temporary. So to me, if there's a pullback that corresponds with it, in my opinion, not financial advice, that would be a buying opportunity. I would personally take it as a buying opportunity. Okay, so on behalf of the channel, what are you most interested? And this has to do with the fact that, George and I have been talking about, we want to expand, and we've mentioned this so many times. We want to expand the channel. We will always talk about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners. So don't take this as we're switching what we do on the channel, right? I'm too knee deep. I eat, drink, sleep, and breathe the Bitcoin miners, but I look at a lot of other stocks in addition to that, and people are interested in a lot of other things. So the poll I'm putting out, we want to expand the channel and grow the channel a little bit. So which are you most interested in hearing discussed on the channel? I put 3 things, and then the last one I put is other. If it's something else, please drop a note in the chat. If there's some other, industry or sector that you want to hear about. But the 3 that I picked, I do a lot of research on EV stocks. I'm not sure anybody even cares about those anymore, so I'd love to know. Okay, so then we got high growth, high risk stocks. Those are all of the kind of the favorite retail investor stocks those are the ones that created a bubble. They've fallen a little bit out of favor. A lot of those are down 85, 90, 95%. And some of those will rise from the ashes. Some of them are going to go out of business. So, is that something interest? I will skew my answer. The one I'm most interested in, what I'm spending a lot of time looking at, is there's a lot of high dividend stocks right now. So as a lot of people are getting very excited and money moves out of the market altogether to go lock up in a 3-month or 6-month or 1-year treasury that may get them, 5%, there's a lot of dividend stocks that are 7%, 8%, 10%. I saw an 11% stock, and I'm not talking about companies that are, on the verge of going out of business, so you're never going to get your dividend. I'm talking about fairly reliable companies that have been doing this for, 10 years or 50 years or 100 years. So, high dividend yield stocks. Would you rather get 8% and leave your money in the stock market, or you want to get out of it and, leave powder on the sideline? So, and then lastly, if there's something else, you can drop it in the comments. So that is the poll. So if it's other, then that's kind of none of the above. You're not interested in any of the above, but leave in the comments what you are interested in. And George, you can leave your thoughts on that. I'm putting that out to the world. I told you which one I'm getting a little more. That doesn't mean, I'm not interested in all the other ones as well. But we're seeing some dividend opportunities that these are once in a lifetime scenarios. And I think they're going to last for a couple of years at least.
You know what's funny about that? You should definitely start doing those type of videos. Like if you know the day that you're supposed to have them. Like, hey, today if you own blah, 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 by the end of the day, you get a blah, blah, blah percentage.
Oh.
Aren't they just isn't it like they pick a day and if you own it on that day, they give you the percentage?
Yeah, the ex-dividend date. So, right. Yep. That's something maybe, in members we can keep a chart of those and just keep that updated and show here's the ones we're following.
I don't think anybody's going to say EV stocks.
It's funny because, EV
well,
was
5%. I just voted.
Everything was EV for so long. That was the most number one. There were more videos on that by a mile than anything else. I would say in the last 5 years, the number one thing.
Ooh.
What?
Kevin came up with a great idea. I'll mud wrestle.
Mud wrestle?
He says, after fishing, you guys can mud wrestle.
I'm not wrestling, George.
I'll wrestle anybody. I was going to, we should probably do that again. I was going to fight Paul Logan. I got so pissed when I watched that crappy fight.
Paul Logan's not going to agree to a fight with you.
I know he won't. Wimp.
That's never happening.
I've never been in a fight in my whole life, guys. Never once have I thrown a... Well, I've thrown a punch, but that's not a fight. And it would probably be the same thing with him. I'd throw a punch.
You're too far out of his size and weight class. It would be a lose-lose scenario.
No, he's a pretty big guy.
You're 75 pounds heavier than him. You could bench 200 pounds more than he can. You're a gigantically larger person.
Well, guys,
and size isn't everything. So for those,
yeah, he could be Speedy Gonzalez.
I watched a video. So just while people are voting, I'll tell a 30-second story. I love these videos. I watched a video this morning. of, there was, I don't know what gym it was, but you know, it was a boxing gym, and everybody was boxing, and there was a younger guy, maybe 20, 25 years old, big guy, probably 6'2", 230, looked like he had some good boxing skills. Old man walks into the gym, had to be 60, 65, might have been 70. He was in sweats and an old man sweater, and walks into the ring, and he knocks this kid out in like 20 seconds. The kid gets up, tries to go at it again, bang, knocks him out like in another 10 seconds. It was just, I get a lot of boxing videos on my feeds. For those of you who are not interested in boxing, sorry, but I love those videos.
No, I'm that way. I just walk away. I just do, because it's just not worth it. You got nothing in life, and we all know it. And I shouldn't probably say that as I walk away. But
yeah, certainly that's not help. That's not de-escalating the situation.
I just don't. I mean, I've been close. It's just like, I just don't have time. Are you kidding me? I don't have time for this.
So that is absolutely, to George's point and to Kevin's point. Kevin said, good, never fight anyone, only to protect yourself. Run away, walk away, doesn't matter. No reason to fight anyone when you can walk away. So I think that's probably the best advice we've heard all day. There's just no good that comes from it.
Unless you cut me off in traffic. That's a different story. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I have no traffic road rage.
You just got to get used to it.
Crypto Fever said, I'm primarily...
Thanks for honesty.
Oh, go ahead, George.
Sorry. Yeah, no, go ahead. You read it.
Crypto Fever said, yeah, I'm primarily here for Bitcoin and miners. I guess I wouldn't mind as long as Bitcoin and miners remain the majority of the channel. Yeah, I mean, we're always going to do the Bitcoin and the Bitcoin mining thing, but, you know, to grow the channel, and a lot of the Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining crowd, unfortunately, they are getting, you know, the big money's winning. They've discouraged a lot of people. A lot of people have gone away. So, you know, in order for our channel to survive, we have to adapt. So we've got to add some content to our channel, or it just won't survive.
It does have the worst traffic. Craig, I shouldn't even tell you this, but one of the things I get to do with my company, and I get to pay for out of my company money, is I have the Peach Pass, and I use it nonstop. I feel that it's a safety reason to use the Peach Pass, and I don't want to get in an accident, so I'm always in that damn thing. Less accidents happen on the Peach Pass lane than any other part of that expressway, by the way.
Oh, 19th ranked Colorado versus 10th ranked Oregon. 3:30 Saturday. What a huge game.
I might have to watch that one. I'll tell you, I'm rooting for him.
I should have
watched
put
his pre-game shows. It's amazing.
I should have put another thing on the list, which is
sports.
No, I mean, we could chat about sports all the time, but mining stocks, not Bitcoin mining stocks. There's
like gold mining.
Gold mining, uranium mining. We have a lot of members that know an awful lot about that stuff.
Dude, you want to hear a crazy one? And
yeah.
This wasn't even planned. I'm telling you right now, it's not planned. What I'm going to tell Tom, but I mean, my niece works for. Remember the one? It was from Australia that just bought that big plot of land in Alaska. It was like the largest purchase ever. Well, anyways, she works for that company.
And what do they do?
And she's a miner. She's going to be mining.
What do they mine?
They mine gold.
Oh, they mine gold. Nice.
Yeah. Have you looked at the heat map at all lately, Tom, to find out how much Bitcoin is being mined by Russia?
The last heat map I looked at was like, and I'll tell you, I was looking at the Cambridge report, which is a couple of years old now, and their heat map is inconceivable. It's a real eye-opener. If you look at the Cambridge report, and by the way, just my own personal opinion, that is probably one of the most ridiculous reports ever written. Just my opinion. Everybody can read it for themselves and decide. But just in the couple of years since they wrote that, if you look at the Bitcoin heat map then, it has changed. And this is, where is the Bitcoin being mined? It's been such an unbelievably dramatic change. It's shocking. It was shocking to me.
The heat, yeah. No, I think, Nate, it's go home with the one that you brought. Just remember, dance with the one that brought you. Go home with the one that brought you.
Is that a comment to just stick with Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, well, I mean.
So
yeah.
I will tell you, like I said, we're always going to do that. But I don't know. I'll say this in a way that a lot of you might not end up understanding, but just as being in YouTube, your channel either grows or it dies. And if we don't add new content and get more people on the channel, we are going to lose our spot in the algorithm and just slowly disappear. So I'm trying to avoid that, and I'm making every move that I can.
Can we do prank videos? Can we do like Edmund don't watch? We do like I always have that. If you guys read it says Edmund don't watch, then you guys will know we did a prank video. Like we go do funny stuff.
No pranks.
I like
just don't
that.
pull pranks on me. Then I'll be into that. Edmund's recommending getting into more cryptos. George, that should have been your recommendation.
What?
Edmund said add some more of the top 40 cryptos.
It's not worth it. There's not enough interest.
There's not. Oh, the interest isn't out there.
No, I don't think so. I mean,
Nate said
listen, all the stock, look at how much money is in the stock market and look at how much money is in crypto. I mean, there you go. You know what I mean?
Nate is saying gold and silver mining stocks. That's a good choice. Break down the space and share which area each company is in. So, yeah.
I hate to say it. We have to pick. This is what I think, Tom. I think we have to pick some of the big companies and, like figure out, little options like where people would want to go to learn about shorting Apple or longing Apple.
You're saying the big dogs, Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, Google, Amazon.
I mean, that's where the money is. I mean, so that has to be where the views are.
I mean, that's where the money's invested. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
I do want to provide, I want to provide interesting content. I want to provide content that people want to hear and enjoy, right? And I don't want to be redundant, but, I mean, if that's what everybody's watching, I don't know. And to Nate's point, so Nate said, dance with others, but don't forget the date you came with. So I absolutely agree with that. We are a Bitcoin mining channel, and that's never going to change. We either got to adapt or die, I guess is what I'm saying. Edmund's reiterating, Tom, add cryptos. Cosmic Contrarian, Tom, don't reinvent the wheel. Your show is fine now and provides immense value. Thank you, Cosmic Contrarian. I appreciate that. My concern is, and it's already happening to us, we're getting kicked out of the algorithm.
Oh, are we?
Because because so many people that were Bitcoin investors and Bitcoin mining investors have quit the market. Those people are gone. And so, we're still doing our best. And you guys know we work hard and try and put out quality content, but we're slowly getting kicked out of the algorithm. And if we don't do something to change it I truly appreciate the fact that a lot of people, like Cosmic Contrarian, enjoy our content and find it valuable. But if we get kicked out of the algorithm, the channel's going to they disappear. And you've probably known other channels you've watched that all of a sudden they're just gone. Well, that's what happened to them. And I don't want that to happen to us. Kevin said, "Don't give up, Tom. You made it this far. You'd be crazy to." So, and I have no plans on giving up, and I have no plans on abandoning Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners. I'm just trying to find a way to keep the boat afloat while the boat afloat while the Bitcoin mining retail investors, they have given up. Not you guys. You are the few, the proud, but Bitcoin mining investors there's been a mass exodus. They have given up in general. So we're just trying to deal with
people don't
what's going on.
understand it either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is, dude, I'm glad I'm actually staying on longer, Tom, because like I'm on this diet. I'm hardcore on this diet this week, and I'm just starved.
So the longer you stay on, the less you're eating?
Yeah, yeah.
Nate is saying they quit, but when it starts running again, they'll FOMO back in here too. Keep yourself available. And so I agree, Nate. That's exactly what you're saying is the exact line I'm trying to balance. And that's why I'm saying I will keep doing Bitcoin mining videos so that when everybody comes back, we'll still be here. Go ahead, George.
I have one that I used to watch that I don't watch, and it doesn't even come on my screen anymore. You know who that is?
Who?
Me, Kevin.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, he's still out there.
I mean, he doesn't even come on my screen. I mean, literally, I watched him for like a little while, but I just got sick of him anyways. You know, no offense, but I guess I can pick on him because he's a lot bigger than me.
Right, that's punching up, as they say. Although we already decided no fighting.
I just, I know. I mean, you got to admit he's got a good spiel and a good layout and a good, marketing. He's always, and don't forget, you can buy my real estate program for $19.99.
Right, he sells a
Learn
lot
how you can
of
become
stuff.
rich in real estate. Guys, I'll tell you how to become rich in real estate. Buy low, sell high. Free advice.
Don't even need to write a book.
Don't even need to write a book. And I'm going to tell you right now, people are going to get wrecked in real estate.
That's
sorry.
part of the cycle, and that's reality.
Weasley kind of a guy. Yeah, and it's so sad because I watched him go to a show. And guys, I had another channel and I kind of pulled it off. It was called Poop Dynasty, and it was about doing.
Oh, yeah.
So we used to do cleanups for we still do, for my real company, which is emergency water removal. And but that channel got millions of views. But my kids were at that age where I didn't want to become super, 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 super famous. So I just wanted to be low-key famous and hang out with you guys.
Yeah, you had one video that went viral.
Yeah, yeah.
Crypto Craig said maybe do a drawing, give out a monthly membership to a non-member that shares your video on X or Facebook.
That's a good one.
Very good idea. Thank you, Crypto Craig.
And that's the other thing. Tom and George are social media inept. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yes, it's hard. It's exhausting. I spend a lot of time. So there's other social media people that their thing is just being on social media. My time, 90+% of my time is reaching and reading financial statements and doing the work. So whereas a lot of social media people, oh yeah, you've pushed
it's
your luck.
6:30. Hey, there's a package outside for you, honey.
We'll wrap it up. A lot of social media people, they can sit all day and put out 100 comments or tweets or whatever you call them, and for
X's
right,
and O's.
I'm busy doing my research to prep for a video to make the video. I have been much more active on Twitter, or X now as they call it. So if you're not following me there, I'm the same thing, Talkin' Investing, no G, Talkin' Investing, which is identical to our YouTube channel. And also, we do sell, unlike Meet Kevin, who sells 100 things, we do have one thing here, which is our membership. And it's $5 a month. So if you're interested in supporting the channel and keeping us going, you can hit the join button. It's right next to the subscribe button on the YouTube page. So feel free to join the club. I think it's the best value. Of course, I'm biased, but you can ask our members. I think they feel like they get their $5 worth and then some.
Well, hey guys, I gotta jump out.
All right, George, thanks for joining us. Have a fantastic weekend. I'm going to wrap up soon. We'll just wrap up this poll. It looks like high growth stocks seem to have won at 38%.
That's what I picked.
So that was it. So they were in first. EV stocks were in last. Thanks, George. I think he had to just cut out. High stock growth in first. EV stocks in last. Dividend and other were kind of tied. So, you know, and I'm not going to drastically change the programming here. So don't get me wrong. I wanted to get a sense, is there something else that people have a high level of interest in? If so, obviously, then that would make it a lot easier for me to gravitate towards that. But it was pretty split. So I'll look and see if there's some high growth stocks. And I continue always to get great recommendations inside of the member group. So thanks again to all of our members for all the great recommendations you've given. I think all the members have learned a lot from the different deep dives we've done. So we'll keep that going. I'm going to wrap it up as well. It's 6:30. This was a long stream. So thank you, everybody. And I know this was a tough week for the Bitcoin miners, but hopefully the good news you can take away is you can see really the trend over the last 10 days for Bitcoin. You know, despite a couple of day pullback here, the trend has been up. The Bitcoin miners are getting beaten down, so we'll see what happens. Let's see if we can hold our ground this weekend. I'm not making any predictions. We'll wait and see. For those of you who are members, I'll see you on Tuesday on the members only live stream. For everybody else, I do put out at least one video on the weekends summarizing the week's event and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully I will see you there. So everybody have a great night. Have a great weekend. And thanks again for sharing some time with us on a Friday afternoon. So we'll see you in the next video.